It's time for us to welcome in our first ever guest, and you're going to love him. Most people do. UFC welterweight Nick Diaz. Nick, thanks so much for being with us on MMA Uncensored Live, buddy. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, now, Nick, we all know the story. You tested positive for marijuana after the controversial loss to Condit, and you received a temporary suspension. Now, you're going to get a hearing. The hearing is most likely going to take place in April. Do you know yet what you're going to say to the people involved in the hearing in Nevada to try to lessen what the suspension is going to be?
I'm sorry?
Do you know what you're going to say yet? What will your defense be to try to make sure they don't suspend you for up to a year, which they very well might do?
I'm under instruction not to talk about that or any of this.
All right, well, we'll let that play out in April. You know, you said after the Condit fight that you were going to retire. I imagine you've had some time to think about that now. Do you still want to leave MMA and potentially consider a career in boxing?
Well, I never said anything about pursuing boxing or anything. I never really said much about anything.
Do you still
about
want to
what I'm going to
be
be doing in the future?
Do you still want to be the welterweight UFC champion?
Well, sure. I mean, every fighter wants to be the welterweight champion, or champion, if you will.
So is it fair to say that you're not done fighting in UFC?
I've had what feels like a week or so to think about any of this, so.
I imagine that you're still probably.
I'm sure it's been.
Go ahead. I imagine you're still probably
it's
ticked
been
off.
a little longer than that, but I haven't really put much thought into it, and it just feels good to kind of, get a little, get some workouts in and just try to act normal, I guess.
Right. I imagine you're still probably ticked off about the way the Condit fight ended. If you could go back and do it again, would you have tried to have taken him down, and would you have changed your strategy in fight so that you didn't lose by that controversial decision?
Yeah, I suppose I would have, having known what I know now, I think that on account of knowing how they just pretty much like to pick and choose their winners at the end of fights. So having known that now, then yeah, I would have definitely, I think I could have got that fight to the ground and cut it, finished the fight, or been a little more dominant throughout some of those rounds, or towards the end of the fight had I put a little more pressure into the first two. But honestly, I felt it's smarter to play it safe and just, go ahead and push forward and win the rounds. I've lost fights before where I'm landing more punches and I'm moving away from the guy, and so the way that they score things at the end doesn't really seem very consistent to me. I come back and I learn from my mistakes last time, and it doesn't really make a difference in the end. So if anything, I proved that this isn't really working out, because out of all these fights I've lost, I'm usually winning the fights. You watch the guys taking more damage, and it's just been kind of irritating to me that we're awarding people in mixed martial arts for trying to move away and not finish the fight.
Well, Nick, listen, we really do appreciate you joining us live from California. Good luck in April with the hearing, and I speak for all MMA fans. You're beloved, and we don't want you to leave the sport, because we need guys like you. No shtick, no BS. You are who you are, and you're real, and that's why so many people love you. And we thank you for coming on as our very first guest on MMA Uncensored Live. And good luck to you, Nick. Thanks for the time, buddy.
Yeah. Glad to have been fighting for something at least. Right on. Thanks a lot.
Very good. Nick Diaz, everybody.
It's awesome.